plant now and harvest later and be willing to do that, not just monetize everything on day one. And that's why we're doing the Authority blog as well as the Amazon. Amazon is cash now, and it probably will be for long term, but the Authority blog and the e-commerce store is that planting now to harvest later.
Welcome back to the Talking Web Marketing podcast with myself, Ilana Wexler. This is a show where we reveal the best tips, tricks and tactics to increasing your website traffic and then converting that traffic into leads and sales. We also discuss what's working right now in the ever-changing world of web marketing so you can apply it to your business. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Web Marketing. I'm your host, Ilana Wexler, and today I'm interviewing an interesting guy under the name of Greg Cassar. So for our Aussie listeners, you may have heard of Greg before because he runs an internet marketing event called The Collective, which is also an internet marketing coaching program. But that's not the reason I got Greg on today's episode. I've invited Greg to come and talk about his ventures in Amazon. So he's done a number of different things. He was like me, and he used to have a PPC agency. And then, of course, that he started to get into different areas of internet marketing. And his most recent venture is in Amazon. So I've asked Greg to join us today to talk about his fast track way that he launched his Amazon products, how he has managed to scale his Amazon products, and also about the Amazon PPC platform that he uses to scale his ads as well. So if you're dabbling with Amazon, or even if you've never even started, you will no doubt get a lot of value from this episode. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just get stuck straight in. So welcome to today's episode, Greg Cassar.
Hey, Alana. Thanks for having me.
It's awesome to have you here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and talk to me.
No problems at all. We recently met in person in the US and hit it off and went out in town, had some fun, and there was no way I was ever going to knock it back when you invited me. You're great fun and very, very knowledgeable as well. So
you're very kind. Thank you. So in our discussions at Traffic and Conversion recently, we went out for dinner and you were talking to me about your ventures on Amazon, and it obviously really interested me, which is why I've got you here today to talk about your experience with Amazon and your success with it in a really, really short period of time. And you were telling me that you've actually created an amazing lifestyle around your Amazon business. So I am sure our listeners today will be really interested in what you're going to share with us today, and hopefully we can cover that kind of ventures that you're up to at the moment.
Yeah, sounds good. And I think, that lifestyle design definitely is very important what stage of life I'm at now. So I'm 42 and I've got kids like from primary school and into high school. So really sort of valuing the time with family and experiences and that kind of thing. I have an awesome business with the Collective coaching mastermind. So that's really, really good. I've got nothing to complain about, but we built this hobby business on the side and it just sort of really, scaled very, very fast, and it represents just another way of making great lifestyle. Anyway, I think if I had to start all over again, what we're going to talk about today is exactly, what I would do. I'm sort of 15 or so years into the journey and learned traditional direct response, and like you, Alana, a background in Google and Facebook traffic and all that kind of stuff. But what I have seen is just because Amazon has the buyers, so approximately 60% of all transactions in the online world in the US happen on Amazon.com. So there's just millions and millions of people turning up there ready to buy, and their credit cards are already registered, and their shipping address is already registered and all that kind of stuff. So while it's just as equally as powerful, and even the advertising platforms, and we can talk about them, they're not as amazing on Amazon as they are on Facebook and Google, but they're very, very basic, but people just turning up ready to buy, and that's what I love about that.
Yeah, and I guess you touch on the first question that I was going to ask you, which is why would somebody be interested in selling their products on Amazon? And you've absolutely nailed it in that they're buyers. Like, people don't go there to browse and look at their friend's feed like they do on Facebook. Yes. They go to Amazon to buy.
Yeah, agreed. And also Amazon can make it so easy for you. What I'm really enjoying about it, the lifestyle component. So Amazon has this thing called FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, that in the US, and they have it in Europe and all over the place. They're just adding it in Australia now. But what that means is you can send your stock into Amazon, and then they will pack it and ship it for you. And so that whole concept of, it's basically called a 3PL, third-party logistics provider, that allows you to create that lifestyle. Because I've had businesses before, and like we've even created a business for our kids here where we sell safari suits, and every time a safari suit order comes in, the kids pack it up and ship it out, but we're just teaching them business. See, that's very manual, but that's fine, for the kids. But for us, and because we deal in such volumes, it's great to have Amazon taking care of that. We know it's going to say they're going to charge us $5 or $6 or whatever for each order they ship out, but we don't have to think about it. They even handle refunds and customer questions and that kind of stuff. So it's just really, really great from a lifestyle design point of view, as well as, millions of buyers and got PPC.
We'll get into all that, but, I'm always interested in people's journey to this process. Do you want to kind of explain a little bit the process you took to starting out on Amazon? And I guess in the light of, if you had to start from scratch now, what would you say is the best way to kind of get started?
I definitely did it the fast track way, and I'll explain why. But before that, I'd been messing around with my own products and stuff. So when we look at this new business, and it was really like a hobby business that we built in the US, but we learned over the years, like by working with the collective and when we had the agency, we got to work with like 300 different businesses or so. And so we figured out what markets we like and what ones we don't, and what we're good at and what we're not, and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of learnings. Like we built Amazon fairly quick, but to be fair, we didn't start with I'm far from a newbie, I guess would be fair to say.
Yeah.
And then the structure that we built in the US was not just Amazon. So we're building with the end in mind, because Amazon can be a one-legged stool, and then they can shut you down for any reason. I don't think they'll shut us down, but you just don't really want to have all your eggs in that one basket. So we're building a proper authority blog. Like we've got a content team who's building that out and building out the social and that kind of stuff. We've got an e-commerce store as well, although we've just made a decision to just not pour the traffic into it, but to pour the traffic into Amazon because it's profitable quicker, and then we've also got social and email. So that's like the overall structure. And the other thing was we chose, and while I'm not going to go into necessarily specifics about my market and products because I've been ripped off several times before, a lot of people do, but I'm more going to teach the concepts than, this is the exact market Greg's doing, so I should do that, that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
So we're building an overall structure. We also learned to go for a mass market rather than a niche. I remember when I first got started in marketing and digital marketing, people were saying, you got to find your own niche and that kind of thing, which is true. But what we found is if you're a good marketer, going to a mass market just allows you to hit, a much, much bigger audience and that kind of stuff. So I think the hard bit, like initially with Amazon, is really finding your market, and then from there coming up, once you've found your market that you're really passionate about, you're knowledgeable and you want to serve, and you genuinely want to help, and which is why we have the authority blog, is because we ask that question, how can we help the most to our market, and so just become like a source of authority, a source of truth in that space. Once you've found your market and you start to build some of those assets, but you don't even have to start with the blog, then really coming up with winning products. And so from a winning product point of view, and I wouldn't say I'm an expert at this one piece, like I think there's other people who could teach this one piece better, but some of my learnings were like, don't do oversized products. So I imported a product from China myself, which was an oversized product, and then I got Amazon FBA, fulfillment by Amazon fees of $30. So that was like ridiculous because it basically killed the profitability of, every product that I sold. So you want smaller, lighter products. You also really don't want anything. Some people do it well, but I personally avoid anything below $20. I think personally between $20 and $100 is a great sweet spot, from a price point of view. And also I think choosing products that are already on that customer's journey. So what are things that they're already buying, but then what can you do that's, unique, and how can you create your own brand? And then how we learn about this stuff, and like my previous attempts at Amazon was I went to Alibaba and I found products that I really liked in the market that I really liked, and then we did branding and we did product sampling. We got some samples, we checked them out, they were good, and then we had to figure out, what quality standards they needed to meet. So we used like an IP lawyer and that kind of stuff to figure that out, what quality standards they needed to meet for the countries that I was importing into. In this case, it was the US. And then we created a brand and registered a trademark, for the brand, that kind of stuff. And then, basically imported it. You use someone called a freight forwarder who will bring in those products for you. And this is what I call kind of the hard way, because there's a lot of learnings in that. You got to get something off the ground from scratch, that kind of thing. What I did, which was the fast track, and really what I did in the last 6 months enabled us to scale so fast, was I was actually in Ezra Firestone's mastermind, the Blue Ribbon Mastermind. And one of the things, he didn't teach it, but, learning by just being around people. So his e-commerce store is Boom by Cindy Joseph. And that wasn't like a brand he created, from scratch. He partnered with someone who already had some good things going on. And so then I realized, well, I don't have to wear every single hat. I'm an awesome marketer. I say I'm a black belt at marketing, right? What about if I partnered with someone who was a black belt at product and someone who was a black belt at brand, within my existing market? And so what I did was we met some guys through the mastermind. I got an introduction at an event I was at, and then sort of fired up a relationship. And we said, hey, you guys are already doing really, really good at this. In this case, our business partners, they were selling into Walmart. Just amazing guys, really, really good values and ethics. And so my gut, when you're doing a JV with someone, a joint venture with someone, you really got to trust you. Are you happy to work with these people, when things go right, when things go wrong, and that kind of thing. And my gut feel on these two gentlemen was amazing. And they were already doing really good on the product side. I said that, but we were really good at the marketing side and said, you've got a basic Amazon listings, you've got listings, but you don't really have any sales. What about if we work together and we scaled that up? And then where we got to eventually was we gave them a percentage of our e-commerce store and our blog and our email list, and they gave us a percentage of the Amazon presence. And so it's like, effectively like a catamaran. So now we're two hulls. They've still got their business, we've still got ours, and we've just got a joint venture agreement between us, and we all going in one direction. And then so from there, that was what I called the fast track, because they already had some amazing products, they already had some brand equity, they already had some runs on the board, and the marketplace kind of already knew about their brand. And then really what it came down to was now, okay, well, we've got these assets, or these physical products, so how now do we make them crank? And really that was about starting with, okay, well, just the basics of SEO, search engine optimization on Amazon, and also conversion optimization on Amazon. So just starting with things like, okay, well, let's do keyword research. Okay, it's like boring but important, right? So keyword research, what are people actually searching for? And then are those terms being used in the title? Are they being used in the description? Are the product images being optimized for that? That kind of stuff. So then we rewrote all the headlines, and then we rewrote all the bullet descriptions. And there's little tricks, like when you write bullets, you can build up to 5 bullets in your listings, and you can have caps for the first couple words of the bullet so that people can skim read it, that kind of stuff. And then we rewrote the descriptions, and then where they had one image, we built them out with 5 to 9 images, that kind of things. Wherever possible, we added videos to the listing. So all of a sudden these listings just grew on their own because they were getting found more organically, and they were also, the website, we were using emotional sales copy to sell, because okay marketers sell with features, the features about the product. Good marketers sell with the benefits that those features bring, and then excellent marketers then sell based off, what's the emotion that those benefits bring. So we brought a lot of that sort of stuff to the table. Then once we had those sorts of things in place, we also converted all the listings. So where they were doing a lot of shipping themselves, and then so we converted the listings to Amazon FBA together, so fulfillment by Amazon, which meant we then had to then send stock into Amazon. So why this is also important, obviously from a lifestyle point of view, you don't have to ship everything out, but it also helps with your ranking. It helps you to get found more, because Amazon actually, they will give, one of their ranking algorithms is whether or not you're using FBA, because they want to make money on the shipping and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of got those pieces in place, and that was what you would call the essentials, and we did that for the US. So any questions on that before we then get into how we scaled from there?
So you mentioned that you had an existing blog and database, so you were already in that market.
We decided this is the mass market that we're going to serve from this day forward, pretty much. This is our long-term mass market. So we're still doing stuff with business owners in Australia, but for our international mass market, this was the one that we were going to serve. And we'd already had an authority blog. We'd started building out content ourselves, but we also realized if we're going to be serious about it, we needed to put a content team in. So what we do, most people would say that we're stupid. We spend $7,000 a month on building out with a content team who builds out like a proper authority blog and social and all that kind of stuff. And so we know we won't make any money on that over the first 6 months, but long term, you can imagine if you're doing that over 6, 12 months, over 2, 3 years, all of a sudden you've got an authority blog that's getting a couple 100,000 organic people a month. That's in the hands of a good marketer. That's power. So, and that's winning the game long term. Whereas PPC, I love pay-per-click, and I've always been a pay-per-click guy. But what I do know is that kind of winter is coming as well. So the cost of traffic is continuing to rise. And so that it's going to get more and more difficult for whether it's e-commerce sellers or everyone really to be profitable and break even on day one. Everyone wants the internet to be this cash spewing machine, Alana, and it kind of is, it definitely is. But there's also that aspect of we need to start thinking now about how do we plant now and harvest later and be willing to do that, not just monetize everything on day one. And that's why we're doing the authority blog as well as the Amazon. Amazon is cash now, and it probably will be for long term, but the authority blog and the e-commerce store is that planting now to harvest later.
Yeah, interesting. And I guess that's relevant for anyone who perhaps isn't in Amazon but does have some kind of authority blog in a market. Maybe that's a good addition for them.
Absolutely. It future-proofs yourself. I think if you can build out a big authority blog. One thing I learned from Yaro Starik, it was a throwaway line from him many years ago, and it always stuck with me, is if you want to be successful long-term, you need to build something sticky. You need to build something that people keep coming back to. Yep. And I was just like, okay, yeah, I get it. So, and I also know I'm really good at PPC, pay-per-click, and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not amazing at social, the free side of social, and I'm not amazing at content writing, that kind of thing. I just really find I don't have the time for it. So that's why we've got a professional team who are good at that, working on that, who have track records of building blogs to the millions of site visitors a month. And I'll just focus on the bits that I am good at, which is also why, like I said, with that fast track, we partnered with a company who is amazing at product and we're amazing at marketing, and the two together is, it's like a 1 + 1 = 3.
Totally. And I think you're right in that it's important to really focus on what your skills are, what you bring to the table, and not to beat your head against the wall in the areas that you're weak.
Yes.
Which so many people do. They think they've got to wear every hat, when in fact, you just stick to your knitting, and then, you bring other people in who are strong in that. So for somebody who is like, let's say, complete newbie, they don't have the content blog, what would you say are some of the basics you would need to get started?
I'd say like the first and most important thing is really like your mindset and your education. So I would plug into some of the things that I've plugged into in that space. So amazing.com, so those guys did Amazing Selling Machine. That course has really pumped out more Amazon millionaires than anything else, I think. So getting knowledgeable in that and working a proven system rather than trying to figure it out, I think, makes great sense. Ryan Daniel Moran also has a thing called a business builder boot camp. I would recommend, like one of those sort of two education paths to get yourself knowledgeable and work a system rather than trying to wing it. I think that'll fast track your results. I use Ryan's free stuff, but Amazon.com, I'm actually a member of Amazing.com where they teach you a lot of that stuff. So that was kind of like where I learned a lot of the how-to type thing. And then so avoiding common mistakes, some of it we spoke about, like with the oversized products or the too heavy products. Also avoid products that Amazon and Google and Facebook don't like. So like, for example, I used to sell herbal Viagra online, and true story, Google didn't like it after a while, Facebook didn't like it after a while.
Yeah.
So just avoid it. If these big media platforms don't like what you're doing, then it's just a next. And I think also don't be afraid to say next. So like I've failed more times than most people would even try or even think about trying. And some people would say, Greg, 15 years in, that's not really that great. But the reality is that those failures are really just learning, and you've just got to be willing to step up to the table. And like, I'd love to say, just going to smash it out of the park on day one. And I certainly have met people who have, like I've met people in the US who have gone straight from like college to Amazon to, investing in crypto, and they've done that, but not that many people. So most people, you really do have some kind of learning curve. The good thing is you can really test a market relatively cheaply. And I think there's tools like Jungle Scout, and also I think Viral Launch have a few tools as well that these tools now allow you to analyze markets much, much better. You're not going blind. You can see what's the supply, what's the demand, what's this product likely to be selling for, that kind of thing. And I think some of them also have profit calculator tools as well. So just really, plugging those things in. And once you do get something off the ground, then doing everything you can to optimize it, like what we're talking about. So far we've just spoken about optimizing the listings. Another really, really big one is getting reviews happening. And there's a whole bunch of tools that can help you to get more reviews, because that's really like the concept I learned from Frank Kern, which is kind of avoid the square wheel. So you want to get, wherever possible, it's much, much easier to accelerate something with momentum. So when you're listing on Amazon initially, often your first round of inventory isn't profitable because you've got to do like what's called a product launch. So it means selling a whole bunch of product at a discount to get some good reviews and to get some momentum, to get some sales history. Because if you've never sold a thing, they don't really want to put you ranking at the top of Amazon. So you can use tools like Viral Launch, and there's another one called Market Hustle and that kind of thing. And they've got big databases of people that they effectively give vouchers to and stuff so that you can get some, reviews. They can't explicitly ask for buy this product at a discount and give us reviews now. Like, that's against Amazon's terms of service. But there's also a bit of an understanding that tell you what they think of it and that kind of stuff. So you really do need to get reviews. We probably haven't done enough of that space. Ours has been happening naturally, and now we're really, really getting focused on tools that will help us to get more reviews. So I think, once you've got the whole thing, the hard bit is getting the market and getting the winning products. Once you've got winning products, like scaling it with the things that we're talking about is really, really easy. So scaling that product up and that kind of stuff. Then throwing fuel on the fire with like what I call, sort of more advanced tools. So there's a thing called enhanced brand listing. So what you need to do is, if you own the brand, like if you've registered the trademark and you've got your own brand, then you can do Amazon brand registry. So you can now register your brand to say, hey, Amazon, we're the original for this brand. And then they'll allow you to do some more cool stuff. So one of them is enhanced brand listing. So enhanced brand content, what it does is, on your listing, rather than just having a text description, it now allows you to build out visual sales copy. So visual sales copy is like an image and the text off to the right of it, and just, like left, right images and text and that kind of stuff. Because a lot of people learn visually, and so it really, really makes a difference building out that visual sales copy in there. It also allows you to build an Amazon store. So you can build your own like e-commerce store on Amazon, and that way you can then have like junction boxes which show them your different product range, and they can link off to that and that kind of stuff. And then you can also get into Amazon pay-per-click. And Amazon pay-per-click, there's really, the main type is these sponsored product ads. And these sponsored product ads, pretty basic. Like, I think a lot of your audience, Alana, they know Facebook ads and they know Google ads to whatever degrees. I would say Amazon's advertising is much, much simpler. But it's much, much more basic than Facebook and Google's. And so with these sponsored product ads, the most simple form is an auto ad, where you just tell it, okay, here's so give it a campaign name, choose as an auto ad campaign, add an individual SKU, so like an individual product. If you've got a blue and a red one, you do each of them individually, because what you might find is one of them selling by ads and one's not. Yeah. That's a bit more advanced. So basically, and then you just say, okay, this is the product I want to advertise. Then Amazon they'll come up with the keywords, the search terms automatically for you. Yep. You just tell it how much is the budget, and you tell them how much you want to bid, and then that's pretty much it. And then you can give it negative keywords as well, saying, I don't want to show up for these terms. But you can't actually, in this auto campaign, you can't tell it what search terms. And then Amazon will suck in your title, and Amazon will suck in your price, and they'll suck in your product image, that kind of thing, and they'll start advertising it for you automatically. Amazon is like Google in that I think the prison system applies. And you may or may not have heard me talk about the prison system, but the prison system is basically, you don't want to go into prison on day one and really weak and get beaten up or worse, and then you're going to have a bad time the whole time you're in there, right? So what you want to do, like on Google, you want to bid more per click than you actually have to, and get a good ranking with your ads, and then get a good click-through rate, so lots of people clicking through on them. And then from there, you've got off to a good, strong start, and then you can reduce the amount of your bids over time to get more and more cost-effective. And Amazon gives you this really cool figure called ACoS, which means advertising cost of sale. So say I sold $100 worth of widgets, and my ad cost was $20, that would say that it would have a 20% ACoS. So it's saying that 20% of the overall revenue was the cost of the advertising. And so it actually gives you this really, really good sort of roadmap to aim for. And I aim for like 20% or less as far as ACoS, and as a general rule, it works out. So you do these sponsored product ads, and you start with auto, and you can do a thing called a keyword search report, and it'll show you basically what search terms are resulting in sales, that kind of thing. Once you start to get a bit of knowledge under your belt, then you can move into manual sponsored product ads. And so with manual, there's a whole bunch of Amazon tools out there that you can do. I just use the free Google keyword tool, Google Keyword Planner.
Right.
And then I use it like in the ad group mode where you're searching for your main term. It'll spit out a whole bunch of search terms. You get them off into a spreadsheet. Then you start going through them and saying, if someone's searching for this, does it have buying intent? Meaning, are they likely to buy? If they're searching for that. And if not, then get rid of it and start building a list of negative keywords. And then Amazon, depending on which way you use the keyword planner, there's one mode there called ad group mode, and they'll basically start giving you logical chunks. So all these search terms are about this logical chunk. Effectively, they're giving you a campaign structure, which Google wants, and also it actually works really, really well for Amazon too. So then you create a new sponsored product campaign, and whatever the widget was called, Big Pen, if that was what you were selling, sponsored products, manual campaign now. And then you can put all your related products together. They don't have to be split out separate. And I know this is a bit geeky, for some, but then tell it what search terms you want to show up for. And it's like Google in that you can do broad, phrase, and exact, but I basically avoid broad. You just put in the search terms and then click the phrase button and then go add keywords. Then put in the search terms, click the exact button and add the search terms in. Tell it how much you want to bid, tell it what your budget is, add in your negative keywords, and off you go. And what you'll find is that by having both the auto campaign and the manual campaign, your auto campaign will get going faster, and then your manual campaign, if you've done a good job on it, will generally scale much, much bigger, and beyond it. And then like any good campaign, you've then got to prune it. So over time, say you've got a month's worth of data or 2 months worth of data, you've just got to start looking, okay, well, that search term didn't result in any sales, so let's cull it. Or that search term has too high an ACoS, so advertising cost of sales, so let's adjust its bid down. Or how we started off with high bids, say we started at $1.51 was our default bid. Now let's move them down to $1.31. Okay, now, we're still going well. Now let's move them down to $1.11, that kind of thing. So you get the opportunity to prune it over time. And then there's also another type of advanced campaign you can add on, which is like these headline search ads. So effectively, it's like a banner ad that goes over the top of the Amazon search listings, and you can put a featured image in there, and then you can have 3 featured products, and you can write a headline. So you can do this for your main search terms, you can do this for your main, brand terms, keywords, whatever, but you can also do it for your competitors. So if you're a little bit advanced, if you sell XYZ brand and your main competitor is Acme, you can actually have it show up so that your banner ads show up over the top in Amazon when someone's searching for Acme brand, and some of those people will start seeing your stuff. So those headline search ads, they really got like a branding and a direct response type component. So people are seeing you multiple times and you're doing awareness. And then, some people are going to click through and buy, and other people are just learning about your brand. So they kind of got like a bit of both of that. And what I also didn't talk about was we're also doing Facebook sort of video view ads, or we're doing like conversion ads where we've got a video ad showing to our exact target market on Facebook. And what we can see, in this case, we're sending them over to our e-commerce store, and it's kind of like a break even, it's not setting the world alight, but what we can see is referral sales. So if we've got these Facebook ads going, or their Instagram video ads, we're about to do YouTube video ads to the exact right target market. If they're going, then Amazon sales are up. And you can even see in the comments people saying, oh, you can get it on Amazon here, or we got ours on Amazon, that kind of thing. So there's a direct correlation. When we've got the Facebook video ads going, our Amazon sales are up. And when then not, then they're not going. At the moment, we've got a lot of it turned off because we've actually got to a different level of problem. So when you're first getting started, and that's where a lot of people are focused, is it's really like you've got a sales and marketing problem. You need to get known in the marketplace, get reviews, that kind of stuff. We're now at the point of it's a scaling issue. It's really not about sales and marketing for us anymore. It's now about how can we feed it enough product, because Amazon gives you this like report, like our report last month said we missed out on 166 grand worth of sales last month because we didn't have enough stock.
Ouch.
So it shows you what the potential is. But like I said, I've got really great business partners, and they're in the process of feeding it more stock with containers, because basically we sent the whole thing into meltdown where they were sending in a container thinking that it was going to last for 6 months. And then 4 weeks later, I'm saying, hey, you guys, we're just about to run out of that. And they're like, no, you can't be. And I'm like, yeah, we are. That kind of thing. So those sorts of conversations. And if you haven't cycled, if you haven't gone through a full 12 months, it's very, very hard to do that capacity planning, you know what I mean, to see how much we're growing by and all that kind of stuff. So we're learning. Some of our products are evergreen, so every month they're great, and then other of our products just work for summer, and other of our products just work for winter. So we've got a good product mix there wherever possible. We just want more and more of the evergreen stuff, and so that bit's all going well. And then now we're looking at, okay, well, how do we scale beyond just doing Amazon USA, which is incredible. So what we're doing is we're feeding more products. So we're testing more products. We're feeding more products into Amazon USA. So that takes time, obviously, over a 3, 6, 12 month type period to test more products, feed more products in. But so that we're growing exponentially, what we're also doing is we're trying to add a different marketplace every month, which sounds kind of crazy, and it's kind of hard to get enough stock for it. So we've now added Amazon Canada, and then we've now added Amazon Mexico, and they're only small compared to what Amazon US is, but you can see that they're already getting momentum, and they've only got tiny little bits of stock in there. So we're solving that over the next month or two, getting more and more stock in there. And then now all those things that we spoke about, Alana, with optimizing the product listings and building out all those ad campaigns and building out the Amazon stores and the enhanced product and all that kind of stuff, I'm now doing that for Canada, and now doing that for Mexico. So I've got this massive master spreadsheet, which I call our product optimization spreadsheet. And there's a direct correlation. The amount of money we make is directly correlated between two things at the moment. One, the amount of stock we can feed it, and two, the amount of green boxes that I put on this spreadsheet. So it's got all the different SKUs, and then it's got across the right, is it listed on Amazon US? Does it have the headline optimized, the images optimized? All these things that we spoke about. As I change each of those to green, there's a direct correlation, with the amount of money that we make. And then the next bit of the spreadsheet gets into, okay, well, now let's do that for Canada. Now let's do that for Mexico. And just right this month, we're working on the UK, because we're about to launch into 5 new Amazon marketplaces in Europe over the next 5 months. So we're trying to hit one a month, and who knows, we may hit it, we may miss it, but it's a great goal to have, as a team. But by hitting those 5 Amazon marketplaces in Europe, that actually represents 26 countries across Europe. So it's the exact same product, it's the exact same process, the exact same listing. Amazon just really gives you a great framework or platform, I guess, to scale globally. And then once we've got Europe done, we're going to add on, Australia. We've also got plans for India, Japan, and China. So that's kind of our roadmap coming up. And obviously there's translation issues and all sorts of stuff along the way. I'm not saying that part's going to be easy, but how we're planning on scaling into the high hundreds of thousands or even millions per month is by feeding it more products in our exact same niche, feeding it more marketplaces and optimizing everything so that it builds up like an exponential curve. And then at the same time, building the authority blog and building the email list and the social so that they're all getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's kind of the roadmap or the plan. It's pretty exciting, to be honest, just to have this. It's like this insatiable beast that we just literally cannot feed it enough stuff, which I know feels like a long way away from when you're getting started of how do I make my first sale. But we get down and just that celebrating the wins. Okay, first goal, yes, we've got our market. Second goal, yes, we've got our first product. And then third goal, yes, we've got our first sale. And then let's try and get to, a sale a day, that kind of thing. And then multiple sales a day. And then, it's not built overnight, but if you can learn from some of the fast track things I've done, I think that represents opportunity to get there. A whole bunch quicker.
It sounds like, thank you for all that amazing information. It sounds like, though, at the core of the success of it is really, I guess, tapping into where the demand is, which comes down to, even like from a PPC perspective, fundamental keyword research.
Yeah.
Because then you were applying that keyword research obviously to tap into where the demand is, but also to optimize your listing. And it all kind of comes back to that keyword research. Does Amazon provide its own keyword planner tool like Google, or,
No, they do have, like, so if you're doing sponsored products, then you can run a keyword report and it'll tell you what keywords are working, but there is no tool. I know that I haven't used any of them, but there's several paid tools out there that you can do Amazon keyword research with.
Right.
I've just been using the Google one and it's working fine. I'm finding that while there would be some differences between platforms, someone who is searching for a trackball mouse, is whether it's on Google or whether it's on Amazon, is sort of the same. They're searching for trackball mouse or that kind of thing. So that's how I've been doing it. But it's certainly not say the way that I'm doing it's the only way. One thing I've learned in business is, wherever possible, keep the costs as low as possible, because as business owners, it's not just really about revenue, it's really about profit and ultimately about cash. So if we increase the business by $1,000 a month, that's not $1,000 profit or cash. It's because you've got cost of goods and then you've got tax and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, but if you can reduce costs by $1,000 a month, that's basically $1,000 that goes straight onto the bottom line of, profit or cash. So wherever possible, I'll use tools that, I've already got access to, rather than just keeping adding on more and more things, because the more and more things I add on, and there's a balancing act with it, but the more and more things I add on, the more and more I have to build it to be profitable and that kind of stuff, which I think is a trap. Yeah,
there's lots of tools out there which people can get very easily sucked into feeling like they need, and then before you know it, you've got 100 tools that you're using, and costs blow out pretty quickly. And it also sounds like, when you were talking about the sponsored product ads on Amazon, it's almost like you're using the auto ads to buy the data to then really ultimately revert to the manual.
So I use auto to learn, and sometimes I'll build a manual campaign straight afterwards based off the data that I got from Google, but then I'll get the search report from both, because sometimes I'll find things in the auto campaign that Amazon's built for me that I didn't actually have those in my manual, and then I'll bring those across. But exactly like what you've been talking about on the podcast about, really like how to scale any sorts of traffic campaigns, whether it's Facebook or whether it's Google, that kind of stuff. So run the winners long and cut the losers short. And I think sometimes the only difference between a winning campaign and a losing campaign is that pruning and optimization that you've done, because often things won't start off amazing initially, but if you watch it and then prune and optimize, it can be.
Yeah, I would agree with that from lots of my coaching students as well, as they're very quick to kind of cut the losses, but they don't realize the valuable information in buying that data, so they can just cut the waste and kind of go deep on the winners. And I think this would be exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Run the winners long and cut the losers short.
So you also mentioned that you're running Facebook ads direct to your Amazon store. Do you have some way of kind of, how can I say, like sort of, buying that customer longer term? So let's say, you use Amazon to get that first initial sale. Do you have it, because I know you don't get the customer details from Amazon. Is there a way that you can...
So slightly different on that. We're running Facebook ads, video ads in that to our e-commerce store. Sorry, so maybe I didn't explain it properly. Yeah, so we're running it to the e-commerce store and we're getting sales and we're pixeling people and that kind of stuff. But we can see that there's a direct correlation. I think we could make more money in the short term just by sending it straight to the Amazon store, but we wouldn't be able to pixel them and that kind of stuff.
That was kind of where my question was. Like, what's the strategy with that if you're sending them direct to Amazon? But since you're not, then that makes sense.
Other people do send them to like an opt-in page where you can get your coupon code, discount code and that kind of stuff, and that's how they get them on their list and then get them into Amazon. So that's another way that can do it. We're just sending them to the e-commerce store because we're ultimately trying to build the database and we've got tools like Klaviyo and stuff behind Shopify so that if they bought X, we can now sell them Y and, all that kind of stuff. So
are you also doing Google ads?
We were doing Google Shopping and we were doing Google Search and that kind of stuff. A lot of it, because a lot of our products were low price point items, say in the $20 to $35 range, the maths wasn't great. Yeah. And so what we looked at, we just made a decision last week to just pause those for now and put the budget into Amazon and scaling that, because it's so instant and it's insatiable at the moment. We just got to feed it more sort of thing. So just a decision. Basically, we needed either higher price point products for Google, or we needed better upsells behind it, or we needed more email sequences and that kind of thing to get the average order value up. Because otherwise we're just like making a sale for $20, but it's costing us $20, that kind of thing. So it's kind of pointless, but we're acquiring a customer, so it's not pointless. But we really need to build out our product range bigger. So that's why we're going to come back to that. But we really just need bigger ticket items for Google Shopping.
What would you say is kind of the margin you would expect for products, or is that sort of too general to answer?
So wherever possible, like in a perfect world, you want 3-to-1. So if you're selling it for $30, you want your landed costs into the country to be $10. That's not always possible. So worst case scenario kind of is that 2-to-1. So you're selling it for 30 and your landed cost into the country is 15, that kind of thing. If you're getting much beyond that, and if you're selling, like, that's why if you're getting much beyond that, it gets difficult. That's why trying to sell just other people's stuff can be difficult. If you're selling the same brand as everyone else, it can be a race to the bottom as well on price, and you wonder how some of these people are doing it. So that's why that building a brand and owning your own product range, or you, like I said, partnering with someone who's got their own product range and they've got a trademark, so you can do brand registry. You can then kick the other people off from, don't allow other people to sell your stuff and just do it yourself, which then you can control the price.
And how much does Amazon charge you for the FBA?
Yeah, so it varies depending on the size and the weight of the product. Our average one would probably be about like $6 per product for them to store it, pack it, ship it, that kind of thing.
Yep.
One thing we do know is when the Amazon ships it out for us, the freight from them to the customer is just so much cheaper than
Australia.
if we do it ourselves. Yeah, so it's because they're just dealing in such volumes and they've got such great rates and that kind of stuff. So, but then remember I said, like, I did an oversized product and it was $30 for them to pack it and ship it and store it, and on that product I was probably going to have like $35 profit per unit, and then they just killed it. Yeah. So now with those products we're just trying to liquidate them. We're taking them off Amazon. We're going to put them in our own warehouse and we're just going to try and sell them. And sometimes it's really just an exercise in let's just try and get that money back, and then don't be afraid to say next. Okay, we learned, we thought it was going to work, but we really couldn't see that one piece of the puzzle, which was, how much they were going to charge us for that shipping. So
it's all in the name of experience, huh?
Agreed. And I've a few bumps and bruises along the way, but luckily starting to come out the other side now, which is good.
Yeah, nice. Well, you have given myself and our listeners a huge amount of information. If people want to kind of find out a bit more information about you, where can they find you?
Yeah, the best spot is collective.com.au. There's lots of good video content on there. We've just been, moving the free line for many years there now. So I think just plugging into our free stuff, there's a heap to be learned. I've spent over $250,000 on my education, and a lot of it's summarized there. So I would say check that out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day of leisure.
No, I work hard, play hard, pretty much.
I'm only teasing you.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom on today's episode. And I'll talk to you soon.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
Bye, Greg. You have been listening to the Talking Web Marketing podcast. For more information or resources on today's episode, head on over to talkingwebmarketing.com.